Hello, and welcome to 20 Minutes on Tuesday at 2! The first one! So exciting! I know. What we're going to be doing today is creating a single page that has advocacy information for the individual that you care about most who is incarcerated in the Illinois Department of Corrections. So, we're going to be actually creating a one-pager together, each of us alone for our own loved one. And then we're going to talk about how to start getting it out there so that you can start having an impact and trying to get your loved one released. So for those of you who don't know, 2 minutes today and 20 minutes on Tuesday at 2 is a place for people who care about people who are incarcerated in the Illinois Department of Corrections and want to try to do something to help them. So, what we've done so far, this is only day 4, but we talked about how to get legal recordings of your loved ones on the inside, how to connect with reporters for to get news articles created to amplify the voices of the people inside who we love. And yesterday we talked about something else. Oh yeah, how to amplify those news articles once they exist. Oops. Okay. So some really great practical, useful information so far, and we're going to try to stick to useful information again today. So what we're going to start with is, just a little bit of exciting news from today. For those of you who weren't aware, there were about 20 different groups that came together this morning, all of whom care about people who are incarcerated in the US. And they had a solidarity caravan around different parts of Chicago. So tons of people drove around Cook County Jail and the Metropolitan Correctional Center and the ICE headquarters and beeped and demanded mass releases of people for public health. And there was such a huge show of solidarity there. It was absolutely incredible. There are so many different organizations you could look up for videos on how well this went. There was the Chicago Community Bond Fund, Parole Illinois. There were just so many. So you should absolutely go check it out. If you ask me for more information about where you can find out about the success of that solidarity caravan in the comments, I will send the links also in the comments so you can find it. Okay, but to get started with, I'm sorry, one more piece of news. I apologize. This morning, Governor Pritzker, or late last night, Governor Pritzker signed an executive order that extends the Illinois Department of Corrections ability to give people in their custody medical furloughs. So there used to be a 14-day cap on how long people could be temporarily released from the IDOC so that they could seek specific medical attention that they needed but weren't able to get access to while they were actually incarcerated. But the executive order that he signed within the last 24 hours says that anyone who's released on medical furlough during this time can remain on medical furlough through the remainder of his gubernatorial disaster proclamation. So as long as Illinois is in a state of disaster, people will be able to remain out of prison to protect public health if they are released on medical furloughs. So that's good news for public health, because anyone who might be released temporarily during this time won't have to go back to prison within the next 2 weeks. So it makes temporarily releasing people a viable option during this time, but it also just points points to the fact that this is an authority that the Illinois Department of Corrections has and can use. And he used some really strong language about how bad it is for people in there, about how close people are together, about how impossible it is to socially distance. And so, hey Peyton, yo, what's up? About how impossible it is for them to socially distance and how we need to release a lot of people right now in order to make prisons not public health disaster. So, time is now to be putting pressure on the Illinois Department of Corrections, and the pages that we're going to be using or creating today can be used to help do that, so that your loved one can either be temporarily released under the authority of the Illinois Department of Corrections or permanently released under the granting of clemency from the governor himself. So let's talk about what to put on the page. First of all, if you need an idea of what this ought to look like, 1 or 2 posts down below this right now on my page has a one-pager done. A man named Manuel Metlock. It's fantastic. His wife made it for him. It has everything that you are going to want to put on your one-pager for your loved one. So yeah, you should look at that and take inspiration from it. But if you're starting from scratch, here are the things that you're going to want to put onto the pages that you have. I'm going to be doing it on regular paper with very colorful markers because that is the way that I know how to do this. I don't know how to switch back and forth between, showing you my screen and then coming to video. So it's just my own technological failures that make me do it this way. But if you can do it on like any sort of piece of software, you absolutely should do that. So the first thing that you're going to need on your page is their name. You're going to want to be able to identify your loved one, and names indicate who they are. So that's an important thing. Okay, other than their name, the second most important thing is going to be answering the question, do they have a place to live? Now, this is such an important question that I actually included a link on the description for this video that you need to click on and fill out if you are making one of these pages. So, what it does is it sends that info directly to the Illinois Department of Corrections, which says this is my loved one's name and they can live with me upon their release. My house or home or apartment or wherever I live is a safe place for them to be. And yeah, when the Illinois Department of Corrections knows that, they're so much more likely to send someone home, because that is safe housing is seen as one of the biggest barriers to release. So they have a safe home. You should include that absolutely on your one page. Other good things to include along with this is these are the 2 most important things, but other things that you'll want to include if you can, if they have job opportunities or a job set up upon their release, that always helps. Yeah, it just looks good to the people who would be considering releasing them. So if they have a job opportunity, I would include that on the page. Right now, whether or not they're in a CDC high risk category is going to be a really helpful thing for people to know. So do they have an underlying health condition, or are they elderly? So they are 68 years old. I just made that up. I've actually already made one of these for my good friend Raul Dorado, which I'll post after I'm done making this video, which you can all see. But clearly, I'm not making one right now for a real human. But if they're elderly, you don't have to put the actual illness that they have. If they have some sort of chronic illness that does put them in a CDC high risk category for COVID-19, just indicate that they meet that criteria. Yeah, no need to just completely obliterate that person's privacy. So, other things that will benefit and support the idea of releasing your loved one will be including any accomplishments that they have received while they're incarcerated. So have they gone through or have they joined AA? Have they completed a certificate of any kind? Have they been pursuing higher education? Did they finish their GED? Is there an accomplishment or multiple accomplishments that you can point to that your loved one has had during this time? During the time that they've been incarcerated, that can point to the fact that they have been working on rehabilitating themselves. That is always going to help. Last two things we are going to touch on here. Children. Do they have children? This is just really, I don't know, maybe this actually doesn't play into the way that people think when they're considering whether or not to release an individual, but my heart goes out to someone so much more thoroughly if I understand that they have kids who are waiting at home for them. So if they do have children, if they're living in a single parent home right now, I would indicate that and say, like, these children are asking because they want their home to be made whole again. I think that's really powerful. And then the last thing is a picture. Absolutely, absolutely include a picture of them. If you can have a semi-recent picture that is not their IDOC picture, that would be completely ideal. Yeah, the ones that the IDOC takes are not humanizing. They just look like mugshots. So if you have a recent photo that you were able to take when you were visiting them, or that you have as family members, or even from before they were incarcerated, anything like that, include it on the one page. Also, if your loved one does have young kids and they want to like draw a picture of them with their parent or their uncle or whatever, include the drawing. The more humanizing this is, the more powerful it's going to be. So you should have a picture. So at the end, you should have a one-page PDF or document that has all of these things just clearly written all on one page and that you can put on social media. So as soon as you have created one of these things, we are going to be doing a lot with this over at least the next week. So we're going to start today actually using it, but there's going to be a lot more opportunities for you to get it out there and for it to have an impact. So if you want to take a little more time and make sure it looks exactly like you want it to look and that you've included all the information that you want, make sure you do that, because it is worth making sure that you feel confident in the work that you have here. It's going to be going around a lot of places. So once you have it completed, I'm guessing that anyone who's watching this actually has a Facebook, because this is Facebook. So there are going to be 2 different groups that you're going to want to tag in any post where you put your loved one's one-pager. One is going to be Governor Pritzker, because he has the ability to grant clemency to all of our loved ones. He just has blanket authority to say, regardless of what's happened with this individual in the past, with what the executive or with what the judicial system said, I am granting executive grace to this person and I will have them released now. So he can do that for your loved one at literally any point. So you can always be asking him directly to release your loved one. So you can tag him by doing the little @ symbol and then GOVPRITZKER, and then Governor J.B. Pritzker will pop up, and you just click on it. So then it will automatically link him in your post. The other group that you can and should tag is the Illinois Department of Corrections, which you can tag by doing the @ symbol and then Illinois Department of Corrections. And again, the IDOC will just pop up and you can click on their page and that will automatically link to that as well. They now have the authority to release temporarily your loved one for the duration of this disaster proclamation. So you can and should be presenting your one page to both Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Corrections and saying, Governor Pritzker, please release my loved one permanently. They have a healthy place to stay and we want them home. And you should also be saying to the Illinois Department of Corrections, please temporarily release my loved one. They are at risk of catching COVID-19, or we're terrified that they're going to catch COVID-19, and we have a healthy place for them to socially distance here. You can do the same thing on Twitter if you are on Twitter. The governor's Twitter is @GovPritzker, and the Illinois Department of Corrections, you should also tag, is @IDOC_Illinois. So that was a lot. But wow, look how close to 20 minutes we are. I'm feeling a little bit proud. So, yeah, I hope you're all feeling good about it. I will be answering any questions that you all have. I will post the one pager I have about Raul again. You should, again, all look at and even share the one about Manny or Manuel Metlock. That's just below this on my page. And I just want to remind you that from now until next Tuesday, we will be having 2-minute tips every single day. And for the next 6 days, they're all going to be pertaining to connecting with your elected officials at different levels of government, at local, state, and national levels, and then learning about what you can specifically ask each one of them to do for you and what really is within their power. So that'll be exciting. Oh, 2 more announcements before I let you go. First, if you are looking for advice on other ways to help people who are incarcerated, you should check out this second link that I posted on this. It's freethepeoplecoalition.org. They just have a whole bunch of different ways that a variety of organizations are fighting for the well-being of people who are incarcerated in Illinois right now. There are advocacy links. There are ways you can help get hand sanitizer inside. There's letter writing solidarity campaigns. So there's a whole bunch you can find there. Please feel free to click on that and explore that website. And the last announcement we have is that at this Thursday at 11 a.m., there is going to be a virtual press conference happening over Zoom, held by Parole Illinois, along with other allied organizations. That is called Prison is the Pandemic, COVID-19 and the Crisis of Long-Term Incarceration. It's going to be very, very powerful. If you want to be there, you should show up. It's going to be excellent. And if you want the link to it, please DM me. I will send it to you. We just don't want to make the link public. So yeah, please reach out. I'm happy to answer any questions. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that we'll find a lot of ways to use this one pager in the coming weeks. Thanks.